Hello and welcome. My name's Chris Cann with Harbour Insight, and with me I have Dominic Wierik and Denis Orlov, and they're with major Chinese equipment manufacturer SANY. We're going to be talking with the guys today about SANY's introduction into the Australian market and what that might mean for the Australian mining industry. Denis, Dom, thanks for joining us.
Pleasure. Thank you.
We are obviously going to get into that bigger question around SANY itself, what that means, what people are using, what they could be using, and technology in general. But if you could just start maybe giving us a bit of a background into your experience, how you've ended up working with SANY on this introduction to the Australian space.
Great. So I've been with SANY now for just over 4 or 5 months. But prior to that, I've had quite a bit of experience in the mining and construction industry in Australia and globally with other OEMs, American-based, European-based, and that's given me a broad experience in the market today, and it also has quite a bit of excitement for me as well. So when opportunity came across to work for SANY, and sort of jumped at the chance because of the innovation that they bring and the speed to market that I've seen over the years in previous roles. So it was a pleasure.
Denis?
Thank you, Chris. Yes, I had a similar experience to Don, but just in different regions. For just over 15 years, I represented some of the largest OEMs in the mining space for some of the largest mining companies. And when the opportunity came up with SANY, I was excited to grow the mining business in Australia.
Okay. So on to SANY specifically. A huge brand, a massive company, a large range, but the awareness of the brand in Australia is strangely really, really limited. Can you give us a little bit of background on why that is and the formation of SANY and what it looks like as a company in terms of its reach in the market?
Sure. So compared to some of the larger OEMs and more conventional ones that everyone has heard of, SANY is a relatively young company, so founded in 1989, and the growth was exponential. It was unprecedented. As far as the mining definition in Australia goes, the mining truck of SANY was only released in 2022, and since then, around 200 units operate globally in a variety of applications: coal, iron ore, hard rock. And for Australia, Dominic and I are at the very beginning of bringing SANY mining products to Australian market. So the future is bright, but we're only just starting.
Okay, and when you talk about the growth has been exponential and the evolution of the company has been really rapid, we're talking obviously about mining equipment. That's what we're interested in. But is SANY just a mining equipment company? What else does it do?
Provides a full range from battery storage, power storage, renewable, wind turbines, photovoltaics, to construction equipment, cranes, excavators, full range. I think we have probably a more complementary range compared to some of the existing OEMs. And globally speaking, SANY revenue is about $20 billion, and almost half of that is done outside of China.
Okay. Dom, I was interested in understanding the in the context of that evolution. As you said, you've been in the industry for a long time. How does the introduction of SANY and what it's bringing to the market, how does that align with what's required today in terms of scale and obviously technology as well?
Yeah, no, great question. The Australian market today, still has huge potential and upside in the mining side of the business, whether it's in iron ore, coal or critical minerals. But a lot of that mining industry now is heading down a decarbonisation pathway. So with that, SANY recognises that, and as a sort of a bridging strategy today, the product that we're bringing in is a hybrid truck. So it runs a diesel engine, but it also has a battery on board, and that's to provide additional output and power, but to reduce a lot of the fuel burn costs that miners see today. So while it's not a full electric vehicle, SANY is heading in that direction. This is a bridging strategy to help our customers understand, what's required, reduce their costs, not just up front, but in the operating space as well with the battery technology.
Okay. I mean, how would you characterise the players in the space at the moment? Obviously, there's massive brands that everyone's aware of, the big two, Caterpillar and Komatsu, and obviously Liebherr's making its presence felt, particularly with its contracts with Fortescue. is the difference between the brands and what people are offering, is it marginal, or are there characteristics for some brands that are pushing well ahead? And is the space starting to open up for other suppliers, or is it still very, very tightly held, and you see that being the case moving forward?
Just to look, it is a developing space, and I think everyone is at different stages of development, different levels of maturity. We are seeing a lot of partnerships being formed in the industry today, because not one person or one company can do it themselves. It does rely on other companies who have experience in, say, batteries, the domain expertise in the equipment themselves, but also running the mine. What infrastructure is required to ensure that there's charging facilities, and the production and uptime is key. So, look, everybody's having a dig, if you like, pardon the pun, and progressing at different rates. And I think as technology changes over time, those, some are very, very heavily invested and have put bold goals out there, which is great to see. It's only benefiting everyone. So we're a competitive supplier that is part of that race and part of that journey, and we're looking to partner with key customers as well to showcase not only what we can bring to the table, but our strong R&D expertise as well.
Okay, I mean, I suppose the question, or the implied question there, is really if the space is well served, is there room for SANY? And given that SANY's not coming in and saying, "Oh, we'd like to sell a few trucks." Obviously, the aspirations are material. There's serious goals that are being put down for you guys in delivering on that as well. Is there room to achieve those goals for SANY?
I think there is. And I think one of the advantages we have compared to other OEMs, we don't have a legacy product which limits our ability to make changes or develop for the current market situation, because the requirements of the customers have been changing faster than OEM can keep up with. And for us, the truck is designed as hybrid from day one, with a view, as Dominic said, on the full battery technology in the future. And as far as the OEMs go, we see a changing landscape in the mining companies. We see new commodities. We see consumers and end users of the mining product eventually being more in line, in tune with the current requirements. And that's when we step in. I think we have currently bring in one model of the mining truck, and the plan is to grow the trucks already being tested in other parts of the world, and then we plan to complement it with a range of mining excavators.
Okay. We just did some research. We've talked with you guys previously about the research, and one of the key things that miners need to see if they're considering taking on a new brand or a new supplier is reliability, trust, all these things, which obviously, if you're new in the market, are difficult to establish. You've talked a lot about the green credentials of the SANY machines. If you're talking to a mine manager who is leading the decision-making process for the next phase of equipment purchases, if you had to pick one or two things that you would say, this is why you should be thinking about SANY, especially in the context where safety is so important and so the risk aversion is very, very real among purchasing teams, what are those things that you would say to them to make that argument compelling?
Yeah, great question. Probably 3 or 4 key reasons. Number one is always about upfront capital. Cost is always a driver, and cash flow. Being a Chinese company, vertically integrated, all our components are designed in-house and made in-house and within country. So that reduces the overall capital cost. So it puts us in a position around about 20 to 25% lower than the market leader on a capital price. From then, there's also your operating costs, and that where we see is our true benefit. Having 2 small diesel engines and a battery helps reduce the fuel burn, which is a real big cost for a lot of the mining companies. But also the cost of ownership, the parts pricing is a lot lower than what you traditionally see in the market today. So again, that critical piece of operating costs is low. With warranties, we'll be looking at, what does the market need? Where does it need to go with the extended warranties? Because we want to back our product and make sure that we are offering that reliable product and that it's also safe. So our equipment, built in China, is all manufactured to Australian standards. So from a safety perspective, we have full compliance because that sits first and foremost in what we do before introducing that to a mine manager.
With you mentioned the warranty. One of the concerns that people would have, playing devil's advocate, is the parts or the support. What are the plans that will be in place, or are there plans currently in place around establishing that kind of dealer network or parts support, just to start to build the foundations that miners obviously need for reliability and just to make sure they're not losing operational times if something goes wrong?
Sure. And I think I can speak from experience because I represented both sides in my career. And what we see is that the existing OEMs, through their support and the size of them, sometimes there's lack of agility to support the customers as might be required. And it created a lot of other very capable local companies that are already suppliers, service providers, or parts suppliers, component suppliers to the mining companies. So we have engaged in conversations with those to grow our network of the existing service partners. And there are well-represented companies willing to support and represent our brand. I think in the near future, we will make some announcements of who those service partners are, and the mining companies will like to hear that they're already working with them.
We'll look forward to those announcements. That's all we've got time for today, but thanks for joining us.
Absolute pleasure. Thank you.